Hello, and welcome to this read aloud of lines 490 to 701 of Maria Headley's translation of Beowulf. And as I always say, depending on your comfort level with the text, you may want to watch my preview video of these lines, which appears in the playlist on YouTube as well. Starting on line 490, page 24. A banquet bench was brought, an empty one, so every Geat could sit beside his brothers, and there they dined, in splendor. At their shoulders stood a server, and he held jeweled ewer filled with mead, sweet for singing and for feasting. A shope sang, too, his voice surging like a swallow into the verging arches of Heorot, cheering for this party of Danes and Geats. All bold men met to bet on Beowulf. Near Hrothgar's feet squatted Unferth, Edgelaf's son, unconvinced, whispering churlish words. Beowulf's bravado bristled him, and envy ate him alive. He'd historically been glorious, and the notion that another, more notorious under heaven, might enjoy greater greatness made him gnash. Bro, do you happen to be the Beowulf who challenged Breca in the open ocean, insisting you should swim in the shark seas for no reason but to prove your petty prowess? Boasting that no boat should guard your lives, but that you should risk them recklessly? I heard no one could convince you two of clarity, that you dove overboard, surfing on stupidity, swearing you knew the currents better than any other, and that you, swole as a troll fed on travelers, were superior to any swell. You lulled for 7 nights in wintry waters, and in the end, he outswam your fool self, skipped to shore unscathed, though uncertain, and rolled onto the sand safely in the land of the Heatheremes. From there, he went to his home country, where the Brandings adored him, a calm and pleasant place, and returned to his hall, his host. His boyish boast was proven, yes, he'd bested Beowulf. No matter your other battles, the tales you told, the lines you sold, buddy, at least you lived. This time? Bro, know it. No one's ever lasted a night clasped in Grendel's arms. Beowulf, Ecgtheow's son, wasn't fazed. Well, actually, buddy, sit down. You're drunk. Unferth, you've run your mouth about Breca, me, and our sea swagger, but let me drop some truth into your tangent. I've been better on the water, deeper in the drink, and stronger in the swim than any man alive. Breca and I were boys together. Our desires were only dares, one upon the other, brother to brother. Maybe you know the story? But hold up, I forgot. You've got no brother left. We declared ourselves adventurers, and so we swam, swords in hands for safety, unsheathed, father forged. We knew there were sharks. No one here is stupid. He couldn't float freer or swim straighter than I, and I had no urge to leave him or lose the lesser swimmer. I was Breca's lifeguard. I knew my duty. The rains rocked us, and storms shook us, and for 5 nights we floated, warring against winds from the north, the waves like blades, bone cold, until at last we were blown apart, the biting beasts of the bottom roiling up to wring me, wrestling me to the sea floor. All that held me was my armor, clasped hands made of gold, chain mail, gainsaying waves in wet, the work of ancestors forging my ferocity. Kept me bold enough to fight. When a monster dragged me down and gripped me, ripping at my skin, I was pinned, swaddling in squalor. Last chance I took it. I put that monster down. I made it a sleeper as it leapt, severed its spine, spiked its skull, and split it into smithereens. My own strength sank that sea monster, and soon I was fighting again, lower than any human sight, outside even the edges of God's light, dark deeps, hell's creatures in them, swinging my sword beneath the eyes of the world. I would not be eaten, nor beaten, nor skewered swimmer I, no drowned dinner for a circle of gold companions, gobbling my guts, glutted on my gold. At dawn, I surfaced in a slurry of scales, floating flotsam where formerly there'd been fangs. I'd sacrificed myself to save every subsequent seafarer from deep despair, and the monsters of the dark were gone. The east was gilded with God, and the sea was smooth. I could see the shore, the strong cliffs rising, built of their own bruises. If a man's brave enough, fate, when on the fence, will often spare him. I'd never brag, but the truth is, my sword slew 9 singular scavengers that night. There are no ocean-going stories more awful than mine, no tales of greater terror, no other man so sea-stalked, but I survived, my salvation in my own hands. The waves bore me shoreward, attending me, and left me at long last in the land of the Finns. The end. I've racked my brain, bro, but Unferth, I can't unpack any similar stories of heroics from you. Let me say it straight. You don't raid, and neither did Brecca when it came to battle. The Gulf? You're cattle, and I'm a wolf. I've not even mentioned your sins, your kin killing, your brother beating. I'm not the man to damn you. No shit, though, Unferth. If you were the bitter, brawling brave you claimed to be, your king wouldn't have suffered a single night of Grendel's rampage. No bitten bones, no hall horror, no chaos in his kingdom. Grendel was aware he had nothing to fear here. Your sword's soft, son. No warrior awaited him in Heorot. The Schildings were unshielded, their hall unguarded. He knew he could crush you, comfort himself with grappling, grind your bones to make his bread. He's got no fear of beer hall brothers, but this you can quote. He'll fear me. There's no guns of note on anyone but me and my Geats. Come on, Edgeleft, son. Beat me. Or better yet, make me a bet that Grendel's maker won't be met. Then if you brave boys feel like drinking, I'll serve you ale for breakfast, the sun shining on silver and gold, daylight yours after night's been mine. This speech was more than enough to convince the ring-giver, his hair gray, his war grace blazing. The king of the Bright Danes knew now he could defend his people with an assist from this warrior of the wider world. He's got the party started, loud and lordly, and the hall welled up and overran with laughter. Welthaeau appeared among them then, Hrothgar's queen. Gleaming, her gown golden, she chose her chance to charm. She was the cup keeper. She raised it high to show the men, then bore it to Hrothgar, Dane's delight, her husband and homeholder. She held it to his lips, and he drank deeply, the love of country in each draught. He threw it back as fast as once he'd drawn his sword. This old lord of war and his men cheered. She went round, helming hostess, treading with purpose, rings shining, beer-sounding soldiers, old and young, both of her own house, and the sea slayers, goblet held to her breast. #blessed. At last, Beowulf was before her, fingers outstretched. She welcomed him carefully to Heorot as a hero, a man who'd answer hopes with hands, and who might please God, finally redeem her land from hell. The warrior took the cup from Welthaeau, eager for the end of festivities, for the night and fight to come. He was ready for his war, and a white awaited him. Beowulf sipped, and the son of Ecgtheow assured the queen, "Woman, I know my plan when I set off for this coast. I knew my plan when I set off for this coast. Before I put my band in that boat, already I was bent on victory. I mean to give you a show, to make your sleep safe, or to be slain myself. Grendel's spikes in my skin, I'm gonna do as real men do and render myself a reaper, bleed him dry, or let death attend me, and cup bear in your place here in this mead hall." The hostess was impressed by Beowulf's boasts, brass balls if nothing else. She posted up beside Hrothgar, queenly, her gold glinting. There was more celebration. The kind of party that hadn't been heard of in a while, rowdy and riotous, loud with laughter and proud poetry, until the half-Dane's air arrested rhyme for rest. The fiend, he knew, had been silent, subterranean, while the sun shone, but now it was night. Darkness draped the earth. The happy hall would soon be a demon's domain, the men's dreadful diet. Shadows slunk from the swamp, and mists mossed the cliffs and hillsides. The men stood witness as their leaders took leave. Hrothgar wished luck on the late lingerer, gave him all hall power, and proclaimed, "I've never, not in all my years of shield-bearing, trusted any other could hold this hall from horrors. It's yours tonight. May you ward it well. It was built for the tenders of the flame. Keep your reputation in mind and stand unyielding against the brute. If I find you alive in the morning, I'll reward you beyond your wildest dreams." Hrothgar and his household left the hall, the leader and protector of the Scyldings, bound to Wealhtheow's bed for comforts, his wifely strife-soother. The king, it would prove, had appointed a watcher whose muscles were monster-matched, fate directed to the Dane chief as a prince protector. The Geats knew all this already. They trusted their man, his iron arms and brawling brand. Beowulf stripped, removed his breastplate and helmet, handed off his fine-forged heirloom sword. His servant swooned over that sweet smith's steel, ordered in no uncertain terms to ward and keep it safe. Beowulf headed to bed, swollen with certainty, and swore this mortal gift from God. "I don't know what you've heard about hand-to-hand, but my hands are better than good, man. I am direr than any demon. I won't slice Grendel with a sword, boys. Too simple. I'd end him too quickly. It'd be unfair. He had no skill, only reptilian skin. His mind's got no flair for strategy, though his strength is savant. Nope. I'll go unarmed into this evening, and he'll take it on the chin, if he's got guts enough not to flee. May God referee this ring and declare the winner whichever of us he wishes." Then Beowulf dropped his head to pillow, and beside him rested his command of brave men, warriors of sea and sleep. They were ready to see life's end, and didn't expect to lay eyes on their heartland again. Not familiar soil, not their parents, not their wives. They knew the story of the slaughterer. A dozen years Danes had been driven from their home hall. The Almighty, though, had other plans, a tapestry of terror threaded with triumph, the Weathergeats, the victors. They'd rise with their leader, crush the challenger, and cruise through creation, kinsman to a king. You know how it goes. God's the final decider. The men, only the question askers, students seeking solace.